Okay, we're good to go. All right. I am working with NDOT on the traffic calming program, and I'm joined by my colleague Farwa. If you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Farva. I also work with Jara, and I'm an analyst at Gimli Horn and just assisting with the project.
Yeah, so we're good to go. So we'll start by kind of reviewing a few of the things that we covered in the first meeting. Just want to give a quick overview of the program. So we'll start with the 3 E's of traffic calming, which are education, enforcement, and engineering. And so our focus here this evening is really on the engineering portion. There's a bit of education involved in that, but that is our main focus tonight. So we'll start by answering the question of what is traffic calming. So our program is focused on residential streets. That's super important. And we're providing physical solutions to reduce speeds, and we're working on significant lengths of road. So we're not really doing spot projects, but we're looking at longer road segments to try and treat those to make neighborhoods safer. So now we'll talk a little bit about the specific program, the Neighborhood Street Traffic Calming Program that NDOT runs. So we really want to stress that it's a street program and not a neighborhood program. So we're really focused on one street at a time. And so we're going to be implementing some devices to reduce speeds and increase safety. We want to make sure neighborhoods are safe enough for people to walk around with their kids, with their dogs, or whoever they want to walk with. And we unfortunately have limited resources to address these issues as Nashville grows. So we're doing our best to really hit the streets that need our help the most first and work our way through that prioritization. So this is where anyone can go to get resources outside of the traffic calming program. Fortunately, there are plenty of other programs within NDOT that can address different types of problems that one might find in their neighborhood. So for example, if you want to request signs like stop signs or any other sort of sign in your neighborhood, this is a great place to drop that request. If you would like to see a new traffic signal in your area, sidewalks, pretty much anything that you might want improved in your neighborhood, this is a great place to drop it. And I promise it does go to actual people. It's just kind of a big pool that it gets collected in, and then it gets sorted out to the different divisions that are able to address these issues. Okay, so a really important point to cover is that the streets in the program are all ones that are that have applied to be in the program. So we don't actually actively seek out neighborhoods to pull into the traffic calming program. All of the neighborhoods apply and ask us to look at their area to see if we can improve safety. So as of July 2022, we had 426 neighborhood streets apply for the program. And so we take applications in 2 cycles every year. And each cycle we go through the prioritization process, and we end up doing projects on typically around 25 projects, the top 25 projects after we rank them. This year we ended up with 27 neighborhood streets, and your street was one of them. So this is a little detail about how we go about prioritizing the applications when they come in. So we take 100-point maximum, and half of that is actually speed based. And so we collect data on the street, and we measure the 85th percentile speed, which is basically 85% of the cars on this road are going at this speed or less. We always know that there are going to be some outliers. There's going to be someone who's driving 90 miles per hour up a neighborhood street. And so we don't want to let outliers skew our data too much. We really want to find like the average speed that people are going at. And so 85th percentile gives us a really good idea of what the norm is for people to pass through the neighborhood. We look at crash history. So we take 5 years of crash data and we look at that. We take into account active transportation, so basically whether or not there are sidewalks or pedestrians are forced to walk in the street with the cars, and whether they're a neighborhood destination. So are there places that people are going to be inclined to walk to in the neighborhood? And so your street went through this prior and ended up in our top 25. And so the street that we're addressing tonight is Williams Avenue from Walker Terrace to Gallatin Pike North. You can kind of see where that lies within Madison on this screenshot here. And then this is kind of a zoomed in location map for Williams Avenue. There were two other streets, Walker Terrace. Let me see if I can get the laser pointer going. So there were two other streets, Walker Terrace, actually, Gray Avenue and Pima Road. And so those three are actually going to stay in our prioritization spreadsheet, and we'll keep seeing where they end up landing. Like, we haven't kicked them out just because they weren't selected for this particular cycle. And if after 2 years, if you feel like something significant has changed in your neighborhood, or if for whatever reason you want us to go out and collect fresh data, we'll do that every 2 years if you request us to do that. Okay, so I'll pause there for any questions before we move into the actual proposed measures for Williams Avenue.
I don't think I have any questions.
Okay, cool. So we went with a design using speed cushions for your neighborhood. We already discussed this in meeting 1. And so this is the design that we ended up going with for the final design. And some of the things that factored into this were how narrow Williams Avenue is already. The lanes are about 10 feet for most of the stretch, and we don't really want to narrow the lanes any further than that. And the traffic levels weren't super high. They're like a moderate amount for a neighborhood street, but speed was a major concern. The 85th percentile speed for Williams Avenue was 39 miles per hour, and the speed limit is 25. So we're really trying to get those speeds down to a more reasonable level. And so we went with speed cushions. You can see here on the left, we actually went with slightly longer speed cushions than are pictured here on the right. So these are going to be a little bit more comfortable for the residents to drive over, hopefully. These are the 10.5-foot long speed cushions, whereas these are 7 feet long. And so it's just a little less jarring to go over these. And so we went with those just for kind of the comfort of the residents. And so they'll still do the job of slowing people down. It just, it can be a bit less abrupt as you go over them than the shorter ones on the right. But this gives you kind of a good feedback when it's implemented. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing for a moment to pull up the PDF of the design plans. So bear with me. Okay. So if you can,
if I can,
see
have a quick question.
Mhm.
You
Oh, sure.
mentioned
What's up?
earlier we could request additional signs, but when you mentioned the speed limit on Williams, currently there are no speed limit signs on that road. Would
Okay.
those be added as part of this, or if we need those, is that something we should submit through 3?
So you'd probably want to, if you want like the white regulatory signs, you'd probably want to put that through a Hub Nashville request. Within this design, there will be advisory speed signs that accompany each of these cushions. sets of cushions. I guess they're not pictured, but I can show like right after we go through the design.
Yeah, that works. I just, because you had mentioned
Yeah,
that minimum speed or maximum speed, and I've never seen that in all my
yeah,
travels down that road. So happy
yeah,
that you go through have Nashville to request additional signage, but just didn't know if
yes,
those are included.
yeah. And so um yeah, so there will be advisory speed signs that basically recommend drivers to go over these speed cushions at 20 miles per hour. So uh yeah,
Hey, you
so this
said
is kind of
the
an idea of what
actual,
they look like.
hey, you said the speed limit on that road is actually 25?
25. Yeah.
Okay.
And so for the cushions, we just advise people like this is the speed that will be the most comfortable to go over these cushions at. So that's kind of there will be warning signs kind of sandwiching the cushion so that whichever direction you're going in, you'll see them before you get to the cushion to like let you know like, hey, this is the speed you should probably be going at.
Cool. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, so we have 4 sets of speed cushions that we are proposing along Williams Avenue. So I guess just for a little context, um, can you see the cursor as I'm circling this area, or is it just the PDF?
I see the hand. You got
You
a
can
hand cursor
yeah,
right
can you
now.
see the cursor moving?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure you'd be able to see what I'm pointing to as I'm talking. Um, so in this area here, this is really just commercial like houses on this side of the railroad tracks. So we over here, that's why the stretch is empty. And so because we're really trying to protect the pedestrians that like in the neighborhood, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we concentrated on this side of the railroad tracks. And so here you can kind of see, you can get a better idea of exactly where these are located. So we're going to have a set in front of 415, about almost 50 feet west of the edge of their driveway. There's kind of like a U-shaped dual driveway for 403A and B, and so we're kind of putting this in between those 2 driveways. And then we have another set. Uh, we have another set over here, like 90 feet east of 319, and then we have one last set on the eastern side that is 82 feet east of the driveway at 314. And so what we're really trying to do is make sure that as people are passing through your neighborhood, there isn't really a stretch where they're going to be able to like really floor it as they're trying to get from one end of the street to the other. And so that's really what we're going for with this spacing that we have. And we have signs sandwiching each set of speed cushions so that as you're coming down, for example, Williams Valley Drive, either way you turn, you're not going to be surprised when you get to a set of speed cushions. Same with Heritage View Road. We want to make sure that people know that they're coming. We're not trying to surprise anyone with them. And so that's the design that we've gone for Williams Avenue. Again, this is kind of an idea of what these signs will look like. I can pull up a visual of like a photo of those signs out in the world. If you just give me 1 second.
Sure. While you're doing that, if I can ask another question, I think maybe you presented earlier in the year at the library. Have you guys had a chance to drive down the road? I know initially it was just based on like satellite data. Has there been like an
Yes.
on-site visit?
Yes, we did. We came out to Williams Avenue, and my colleague and I, we drove the street a couple of times in each direction, and we walked the street and took measurements to make sure that anywhere that we were placing speed cushions was going to be basically a safe spot. We wanted to make sure that we had boots on the ground and actually got an idea of what the neighborhood looked like.
Sure. So when you guys visited that, there were four kind of concerns about, I think it's the Moose Lodge and the kind of, there's like a
Yes.
veterans home. And if we need to contact someone else, it's totally fine. But there are some concerns of like some washout from the driveway of one of those locations. Is that going to be addressed at all in any of this?
So I lost you for a second there, but I think that you were asking about the driveway. There was like loose gravel coming from one of the driveways near the eastern side of
Yeah,
the street.
yeah, it
Um,
washes out pretty often after a rain.
mhm. So unfortunately, we can't tackle that in the traffic calming program, but that is
Sure.
definitely something that I would recommend dropping into the Hub Nashville portal, that
Perfect.
to the correct division within NDOT. Yeah.
Thank you.
And let me stop sharing for 1 second and I can show you the image. So obviously this says speed hump rather than speed cushion, but this is what the signs will look like. And again, this is for a speed table, but there'll be these bright yellow signs and it'll say 20 miles per hour and then speed cushions on the actual text. And so yeah, so there will be code to let people know that the cushions are there, and also to advise people on a safe speed to pass over them. So are there any other questions on the design?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, I went to the library tonight. There's no sign there, no meetings. I don't even know where you're meeting at because I can't seem to get onto the internet with it. So is there going to be a vote for this? That's what they had said at the last meeting.
Yes, we're going to cover that, the ballot and voting process next. And yeah, about the meeting, there was kind of a last minute decision to take this meeting fully virtual. I know that NDOT reached out to the council member and I think maybe neighborhood leads. I'm not sure about how that information was supposed to be disseminated. But
Well, I
yeah,
tried calling
that,
Metro today at 3:30, and they're like, "Yeah, as far as we know, the meeting's still on." And I get to the library, and it says, "Oh, the library closed at 3." So if you're not going to have the meeting, you should at least tell the people when you call into Metro that, yeah, or anyway, it was rather aggravating to go down there and then there's nothing happening. And I can't figure out how to get online with it, so.
Especially in this awful weather. Yeah, I'll make sure that note gets to the program manager. Yeah.
So I missed the part. How many speed humps are there going to be?
So in our design, let me pull that back up. Oh, I guess if you're on the phone, I'll just verbally explain to you. So we have 4 sets of speed cushions proposed. We're going for the longer 10.5-foot long speed cushions for this design, which are a little bit more comfortable to drive over than the shorter 7-foot ones. But they still do the job of slowing people down, so don't worry about that. And so yeah, so we're going for 4 sets, pretty evenly distributed along the stretch of road west of the railroad tracks, like where the houses are. So yeah, so that's what we're going for.
Okay, thanks.
Let me share my screen again and we can talk about voting. Okay. So this is kind of a flow chart of the program to give an idea of where we are in the process. We're here at meeting 2. So we've already had our first meeting. We went through an in-depth design and we did a site visit along your street and took measurements to make sure that the design would work for your road. And so next up, we're going to have an online ballot, and if that succeeds, we'll go to construction. So let's talk a little bit about the ballot process. So the if after this meeting we don't have too many comments about the design, then we'll send out the ballots. So you'll get a postcard in the mail, and that postcard will have like a QR code and then also a website if you don't want to scan the QR code, so that you can go online and cast your vote. And so each property adjacent to Williams Avenue is going to get a ballot to vote. I shouldn't say that. Each property owner that owns land that is adjacent to Williams Avenue. That's a better way of explaining it. Because essentially, if one person owns 12 houses along Williams Avenue, they don't get 12 votes. They get one vote.
Okay.
I feel like the easiest way to explain it is it's basically like a regular election. It's just limited to the people who have property along the road. And so there will be a 6-week voting period where you'll have time to make your decision and cast your vote, yes or no. And at the end of that voting period, if 66% or 2/3 of the votes are yes votes, then the project will go ahead, as we showed today. And if you don't have internet access, or you can't, I don't know, figure out the voting form, you can also call in your vote. There should be a phone number on the postcard. And if not, you can, again, call Hub Nashville, or we'll be sharing some email contacts at the end of this presentation. And so you can email Gil Thomas, who's the program manager, and get in touch with him that way. Like, we want to make sure that people have the opportunity to let their opinion be known. So however you can get your vote in, we'll accept it pretty much. And so, yeah, I think that covers the voting process. Does anyone have any questions on that?
So that postcard should go out in 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, so the postcards will likely go out after the holidays. And then again, there will be a 6-week voting period. And on the postcard, it'll be marked like when voting closes. So you'll know when those 6 weeks end.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any other questions? If not, if you do think of any questions in the future, for those of you that are watching on video, here is the contact information. For those of you on the phone, I'm going to spell out some email addresses. So once you're ready with a pen and paper, let me know.
I'm ready.
Okay. So the first one is the program manager at NDOT. His name is Gil Thomas. That's G like George, I, L like lemon, dot Thomas, THOMAS, at Nashville.gov.
Okay.
And then I'm the project engineer, and I can be reached at Jara, D like Dorothy, IARRA dot F like Frank, ALL, at Kimley, K like Karen, IML like I guess M like man, L like lemon, EY hyphen horn like an instrument .com. And I would really want to stress that if you email one of us, please try to CC the other, just so that everyone's on the same page and kept in the loop.
Would you give me your email address again?
Sure, yeah. So it's D like Dorothy, I, A, R, R, A, dot, and then F like Frank, A, L, L, so like fall, and then at that symbol, Kimley, so K like Karen. I-M like man, L-E-Y hyphen or dash horn, HORN.com.
Okay, thanks. That's kind of where I lost it, that last little bit. Okay, thank you.
No problem. So yeah, if you have any more questions, you can ask them now. And again, if you want to sleep on it and have any questions later on, you can feel free to reach out.
I'm good,
And
thank you.
yeah, and for anyone who missed when I said this at the beginning, this meeting, we recorded it, and so NDOT will be posting it on the Metro YouTube channel. And so if anyone missed it and is interested in watching the meeting back, you can watch it there. And then when the ballots are sent out, the plans will be posted online as well. And you'll see them when you're going to vote. So you'll be able to refresh yourself on what you're actually voting on. So yeah, so thanks everyone for joining on this cold Thursday night. I appreciate your time, and have a good evening.
You too, thank you.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for your time as well.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.